Welcome to Youth Councils 2021. We are so glad that you're with us. We've got a few minutes before we start, so we're going to play a game. Now, our theme for this weekend is in the making. So our game for today is What's That Number? We're going to look at some numbers, and you're going to tell me what they make up. If you're playing in a group, keep score. See who wins. Here we go. enjoyed that game. Maybe you learned something with those numbers. If you were the winner in your group, drop a selfie and let me know. Or drop a comment and let me know how many you got right. Are you ready to start youth councils? Here we go.
Hey everybody, so glad you could join us this year, Youth Councils 2021. I'm Captain Tony.
I'm Captain Brianne.
And we are very excited about what this weekend has in store.
This year's theme is in the making, and we worked really hard with our team to put something really awesome together for you. And you've received your Youth Councils boxes if you've registered, and we hope you've had a chance to dig through them and enjoy some of those awesome treats that are in there.
Absolutely. And we have a lot of special guests that are going to be joining us this weekend, and we are so excited for what they're going to share with you. So stay tuned and let's get going. I'm really excited to be able to introduce our first couple guests. The first guy is from Chicago. His name is Carlos Navarro. He's going to be leading us in a couple praise and worship songs. Right after that, we have a fantastic hip hop and spoken word artist, and he's going to be sharing the passage of scripture out of 2 Samuel. So why don't you join us in worship as Carlos leads these first couple songs.
Welcome guys, welcome. My name is Carlos and I'm really excited to be here with you this way, virtually. I know it's gonna be great, it's gonna be awesome. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna be worshiping God together, praising the Lord, and we're gonna be singing together as well. And just to tell you a little bit about myself, again, I'm Carlos, I'm 22 years old, and I'm from Chicago, Illinois. Right now I'm in Chicago, and but actually I was born in Venezuela, South America, and I moved here a couple of years ago, and that's pretty much it. So I would normally say, stand up with me and worship. I mean, if you want to stand up, go ahead. I don't know, I can't. Go ahead if you want to stand up. It will make me feel good. Because I know you'll be standing up, but let's just say stand up with me and sing so it will feel like normal, I guess. So let's just worship. You are here. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are here, you are here. Moving in our midst, I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. 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 That is who you
promises are yes and amen. And all your promises are yes and amen. Beautiful Savior, you have brought me near. Pulled me from the ashes, you have broken every curse. Blessed Redeemer, you have set this captive free. Lord, I can't help but say, faithful you are, faithful forever you will be, faithful you are, and all your promises are yes and amen, and all your promises are yes and amen, and all your promises are yes and amen, and I will rest in your promises. My confidence is your faithfulness, and I will rest in your promises. My confidence is your faithfulness, and I will rest in your promises. My confidence is your faithfulness, and I will rest in your promises. My confidence is your faithfulness. Faithful you are, faithful forever you will be, faithful you are, and all your promises are yes and amen, and all your promises are yes and amen.
Hey everyone! I have this pretty awesome job working in the youth department. But I have to admit, there has always been a part of me that has wanted to be a stand-up comedian. Standing up on stage, having everyone laugh at your jokes, it sounds great. I signed up for an upcoming open mic night. I'm so excited and nervous at the same time, and now all of a sudden, I am drawing blank. I need jokes. How can I be a comedian in the making if I don't have any material? So I asked some friends to help me out. I asked them to send me their jokes. Let's see what they got.
So, what do you call somebody with no body and no nose? Nobody knows.
So I ordered Chinese food for dinner and it didn't come with any cookies. It was very unfortunate.
How do you make a Kleenex dance? You put some boogie in it.
What do you call a dinosaur that gets into an accident? A Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Okay.
How many tickles does it take to make an octopus laugh?
How many?
10 tickles.
Hey, do you want to hear a joke about construction? I'm still working on it.
What's red and shaped like a bucket? A red bucket.
What was Boaz before he was a kinsman redeemer? He was ruthless.
Okay, I know y'all haven't heard this one. Why did the old man fall down the well? He couldn't see that well.
Spring is almost here. I'm so excited I wet my plants.
Ran out of toilet paper, started using lettuce leaves. Today was just the tip of the iceberg. Tomorrow remains to be seen.
Well, that was interesting. I guess I better stick to my day job. Next up, though, we're going to hear from someone who has real talent. We're going to hear the word from Rapley.
You are a work in progress. The process of becoming the person that God created you to be is one that begins right now. This very moment is divine. Ain't no better time. Treat now like it matters now. Don't let it pass by. Why? Because you are a creative creation created by the creator of all creativity. And he's painting the picture of his perfect plan for your personal present pains. And he's writing the righteous story of your redemption through the reincarnation of the risen Savior. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, beautiful as the masterpiece of Christ. And you ain't even finished yet. Your God creates and recreates. He adds a smile to the Mona Lisa. He produces a trap beat over Mozart's Fifth Symphony. His New York Times bestseller is a love letter showing us how to love better. Your God doesn't make junk. For whoever is in Christ is a new creation. Your worth is built on his foundation. And they still wonder why I got this motivation. Why I treat now like it matters. Like y'all can't see the pattern? If the one who controls all matter and can make all the darkness scatter is on my side and waves the same banner, I trust him to transform me like Hulk into Bruce Banner. The same way he prepared David to run up on Goliath by living humbly as a shepherd and getting run up on by bears and lions, the same way he'll prepare you for whatever is on your horizon. But will you take the leap? Because every moment is an opportunity to be present and to be obedient to the call that God has placed on your life. So will you treat now like it matters now? Because it does.
Hey friends, my name is Ashley and I am so excited to be hanging out with you this weekend. I know there are probably a lot of other things that you could be doing this weekend, but I'm really glad that you're here with us. And I believe that God uses weekends like this to change our lives. My prayer is that our time together over the next few days will not only be fun and exciting, but also encouraging and inspiring for your faith. The theme for this weekend is in the making. What does that mean? Well, just what it sounds like. When something's in the making, it's in the process of becoming what it was meant to be. It's a work in progress. Those straight A's that you're trying to get at the end of the semester, right now they're in the making. That starting spot you're trying to secure on the team, it's in the making. That new friendship or relationship you've just begun, it's still in the making. In other words, all of those things take time to develop into what you want them to be. They don't happen overnight, and most of the time, they don't happen without some effort. Sometimes we can see where all that effort is headed. We study because we want good grades. We practice because we want that spot on the team, or we spend time with that friend because we want to be closer to them. But other times, well, other times we can't really tell what effort has to do with what's in the making in our lives. All throughout middle and high school, I played soccer, and if you've ever been to a soccer practice, or maybe you practiced your instrument or dance routine, you know that you have to do it a lot to get really good at it. I remember one specific practice. We were running this drill for what felt like an hour, and I was 8th in line to go this round. And so I looked to my left, and I saw that there was like this hill next to the soccer field, and I decided, you know what? It would be a really good idea to just roll down that hill. It's okay that it's in the middle of soccer practice. It's fine. I'm 8th in line. I don't have to go right now. I'll just roll down the hill. It'll help me like do something while I'm waiting. So I start rolling down the hill, and all of a sudden I like hear the coach's whistle in the background. And then all of a sudden I get to the bottom. I look up. There's like multiple people rolling down the hill. Like they started doing it with me, which is pretty amazing. But what happened was the coach blew his whistle, told everybody to go get some water, and then he called me over to him, and I'm like, I was thinking, like, I didn't even know what he was going to say to me. But he was basically like, Ashley, we were in the middle of a drill and you were really distracting. Like, I know you were not the one up, going at this point. But when you started rolling down the hill, everybody else did too, because you're a leader on this team and people are watching what you do. And if you're focusing on the drill and you're engaged in the practice, then they're going to be too. And I was standing there like, I don't really understand. Like, it wasn't my turn. I wasn't like getting in the way of the drill, but whatever you say, I don't really know why that was that harmful. I don't know if anything like that has ever happened to you before, but maybe you've been made to do something that you didn't really know why it was so important. Like, why is standing in line, 8th in line, so important right now? Maybe you've also wondered, like, what is the point of this? Maybe an authority figure in your life told you to do something that to you just didn't really add up. Or maybe your mom said you need to get 8 hours of sleep, or your coach had you do some crazy practice routine, or your teacher made you read the most boring book ever. Maybe there's even someone you have to put up with every day who you just can't stand. You think, why do I have to do this? I don't see where this is going. What good is this going to do? I bet we all know what that's like. I think we all have to deal with things that make us wonder what the point is, or leave us counting down the days until we don't have to deal with them anymore. When we're in that kind of situation, I think most of us do one of 3 things. First, we probably complain about it because it doesn't make sense. We can't see the purpose of it right now in our lives. We can't see what following this rule is going to do, or making this choice, or listening to that person has to do with what's in the making in our lives. Or maybe we do it, but we don't really give it our all. Like, we know it's something we have to do, but we're not going to do it to the best of our ability because we don't really see the point. Or maybe we just don't do it at all. Maybe we just give up altogether. Why? Because we don't see how it could possibly be adding any value to our lives. Can I ask you a question? Whatever that thing is for you, what if there's actually more to the story than you know? What if there's like a bigger picture? What if God is actually up to something more in your life? What if God is actually up to something more in your life? Like, what if he's actually asking you to do something or be something or love somebody right now that's actually going to help make you into the person he wants you to be? What if your right now is actually heading somewhere, preparing you for something, making you into someone new? What if part of the future God has planned for you actually depends on whatever it is you're doing right now? Over the next few days, we're going to talk about a guy who discovered just that thing. He had his fair share of seemingly pointless preparations, but in the end, he learned that what seemed like a waste was actually God preparing him for something cooler than he could have ever imagined. That guy I'm talking about, well, his name is David, and he's kind of a big deal in the history of our faith. That's why so much of his story is found in what we call the Old Testament in the Bible, which was the books of the Bible that were written before Jesus came to earth. You see, David lived a pretty crazy life, which is why we're going to spend the next few sessions talking about him. But before we get to all of that amazing stuff like David becoming king, let's start by talking about where his life began. Before David became the king, he was kind of normal like us. Like, he was just trying to make it through life and stay out of trouble. And really, when David was your age, he had a job that you may not automatically think would lead him to becoming a king, because he was a shepherd. Now, while he was a shepherd, David literally spent hours and hours and hours out in the field taking care of sheep. That may sound kind of boring to us, but believe it or not, it was actually kind of exciting sometimes. The Bible tells us that David actually had to fight off lions and bears. Lions and bears to protect the sheep in his care, which is kind of crazy. And you thought making your bed in the morning was hard. Can you imagine? I don't know this for sure, but I would imagine David probably had days where he asked the same questions that we ask. He probably thought, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to spend my days watching after these sheep? Why do I have to be responsible for fighting off these lions and bears? I'm never going to get anywhere in this life doing this. This doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Have you ever felt like that? Like what you're being asked to do now is pointless? Like it isn't going to take you where you want to go in life? I know I have. Let me tell you what happened to David. One day, while David was tending the sheep, his older brothers were out on the battlefield with the army of Israel fighting against the Philistines. At that time, there was a giant named Goliath. He was a Philistine who was mocking the Israelites and the God they served, which was not cool, Goliath. And even though everyone was angry at what Goliath was saying, they were also scared of him and unwilling to fight him. After all, he was a literal giant. But then David showed up. While he was there to bring food to his brothers, he heard Goliath's trash talk. And do you know what he did? He stepped up. He volunteered to face the giant. He went straight to the king of the time, Saul, to tell him what he was going to do. And then he actually did it. This shepherd boy, who was your age, took his slingshot, walked down into the valley to face the giant, and whacked him in the head with a rock, killing him right there on the spot. Just like that, David became a hero. In an instant, he went from being an unnoticed guy in the fields to being a well-known hero who saved his people. Something huge that you can't miss in this whole hero story. I want you to hear what David said right before he faced Goliath. Saul, the king of Israel at the time, asked David how he, a young shepherd boy, was ready to kill a giant. Check out David's response. I have been taking care of my father's sheep and goats, he said. When a lion or bear comes to steal a lamb from the flock, I go after it with a club and rescue the lamb from its mouth. If the animal turns on me, I catch it by the jaw and club it to death. I have done this to both lions and bears, and I'll do it to this pagan Philistine too, for he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescued me from the claws of the lion and the bear will rescue me from this Philistine. Do you see what David saw? All those days spent protecting his sheep in the field, days that could have seemed pointless at the time, suddenly had purpose. Like David could have easily thought that God was wasting his time by putting him out in the field with the sheep, but now he saw something totally different. And I think it's something we all need to see too. David realized that while his now may have seemed insignificant at the time, it mattered for his future. The lions and the bears were preparing him for the giant. And though he didn't know it yet, shepherding those sheep was preparing him to be the king of an entire nation. David's story shows us the importance of treating now like it matters now. And that's something we can do too. We can treat now like it matters now. When we find ourselves in a situation where we have to do something that frustrates us or seems pointless, we need to treat it like it matters. Because even though we may not see the whole picture at the moment, it's part of who you're in the making to become. I know that because I've experienced it myself. Remember when I told you earlier about what happened to me at that soccer practice in middle school? Well, what I didn't realize then, that I now realize, is that those moments of standing in line when I wasn't participating in the drill were still leadership moments. And that leadership isn't just about what I do on the field, but what I do off the field. And just like David, I had no idea how much of those leadership skills I would later use in my life. I didn't realize there was purpose in those moments that were preparing me for something else. And it's the same for you. You may not feel like someone who matters. You certainly may not feel like a hero like David, or you may not see the purpose of where you are right now in your life. Trust me when I tell you that you need to treat now like it matters now. Where you are now matters now. What you do now matters now. The lions and bears of today are preparing you for the giants of tomorrow. And because I believe that's true, I think one of the best things we can do for ourselves is to start treating our now like it matters now. How? Well, we can start by figuring out that thing in our lives that feels pointless or frustrating. That thing that doesn't seem to matter right now. Maybe it's a really hard class you're in, or a rule you have to follow, or a chore you have to do regularly. Maybe it's a relationship you have with a friend that doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Maybe it's even this weekend retreat. Whatever it is, identify what you're dealing with in your now that doesn't seem to matter. And then I want you to take just one step to shift the way you approach it. Maybe you decide to stop complaining about it so much, or maybe you don't go just halfway anymore, or you decide to really give it your best. Maybe you just decide to show up and not bail on it. Whatever it is, change the way you treat it. Remember, God is up to something, even if you can't see it right now. And maybe, just maybe, this thing in your life is all part of who He is making you to be. So treat now like it matters now. God wants to use your now to make a difference. Don't count yourself out because you're playing second string or second violin or a below average student, or maybe you're not the most popular kid in school. Treat now like it matters now. One day, I think you'll be able to look back and see how these experiences were all part of the person God was making you to be. I can't wait to hang out with you tomorrow. Have an awesome small group time.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We hope you had a great time listening to some praise and worship and the spoken word, as well as the message that was shared with us. Leave down in the comments something that really stuck out to you this evening. We want to be able to share that with others and share that with you so we can continue praying for you and continue worshiping along with what this message that we heard tonight was all about. So we look forward to the next time we get to interact with you, and we are really excited about what the rest of this weekend has in store. But bye for now.